Boys and girls, adults of all ages, welcome to the Avarice Podcast. Today's episode, we're going to get down and dirty and go into a bit of the darkness that is known as Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, the producer's cut. The rarely seen, much sought after, much talked about, somewhat controversial original cut to the sixth entry in the Halloween franchise. I got mixed feelings about this one. We will explore those once we get into the film. If you've never listened before, basically I watch a movie. It's like watching a movie with me, except for I'm that annoying person that never shuts the fuck up during the movie. That's kind of what we're doing here. So if that's what you're into, if you need a friend to hang out with you during the movie and never shut the fuck up, here I am. So yeah, I will play a movie and offer commentary over the top of it, some joking around, some insight, some opinions, whatever the case may be. I usually start by brewing a cup of coffee, which you may hear going in the background right now. After this, I will sit down and take a few hits off my bong, and then I'll give you a countdown that we're starting the show. If you're a hardcore Halloween franchise fan, you probably possess this, but I don't think that most people do, and I don't even honestly know where to tell you to get it at. I don't know if you can buy it on Amazon Prime or anything. I have it. I found it one day by chance. I got lucky. So, yeah. This is going to be an interesting ride. So if I noticed I had a slight bump in subscribers, etc., followers lately. So if you're not aware, I kind of started this podcast by doing the Halloween franchise, doing these commentaries for the Halloween franchise, which I somewhat regret because almost nobody listened to them and they're just kind of sitting there, and I wasn't comfortable with the format yet and kind of in my own skin expressing my thoughts. So they're a little bit rougher than I would like them to be. But let's face it, the production value on this is not real high. I'll get there someday, but for now I'm working with what I've got. So anyway, I have done commentary tracks on every single Halloween movie, even the 2018 one, and those are all in either on my SoundCloud, in the podcast feed, or there's a playlist on my YouTube channel that's called Halloween Commentaries, and they're all in there. When I did those, I did the theatrical cut for Halloween 6, and I left this one off to do at a later date. And I feel like now is a good time to jump back in and go ahead and do it. Most of the reason that I left it off is because it was going to be really hard for me to watch those back to back and have anything to say. Even now as I sit here, I'm trying to think of how I'm going to get my point across without repeating myself too much, because a lot of the core elements of the film are the same. Anyway, I'm seated here now, ready to burn a little bit of the devil's cabbage, and then we'll get the show on the road. I'm a little bit unclear as to exactly how the decision was reached to go back and re-edit the film from the producer's cut. I don't know if that was the ACODs or early screening results, but at some point the decision was made to go back and recut it. And Donald Pleasance, excuse me, had already died when they decided to re-edit it, so they only had what they had to work with. They couldn't get any additional footage of him. They had to come up with some creative edits and use of voiceover, or taking his scream from one scene and putting it in another scene without his image to make it imply a different... I'm not expressing this well. You'll kind of see as we go along. Alrighty then. Let's turn out the lights and light a candle. Candle's already lit. I'm not dumb. I'm gonna try to light a candle after it's dark. Do it when it's light, you dumb fuck. Okay. Alrighty. So, this is the producer's cut of Halloween 6, and I am pressing play. What the fuck is going on? I am pressing play in 3, 2, 1, play. Bum, 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 bum. I was also jonesing for some Michael, I gotta be honest. I've been doing the Friday the 13th franchise, I did Child's Play franchise, and I just have been itching to watch. Why the fuck isn't this working? Okay, mine just started playing. I don't know what the issue was. So I'm at 10 seconds runtime. I apologize. The Dimensions film sound just played. Mustafa Akkad presents. So I had kind of forgotten that I skipped over this version of the film when doing my commentaries before. And as I was driving home today, I was like, son of a bitch, I can do the producer's cut. I can watch a Halloween movie, and I can still do a podcast, get 2 birds stoned at once, and it'll all be gravy. So here we are. Michael Myers is outside. So this is Jamie, Michael's niece, who was played by Danielle Harris in parts 4 and 5. Now she's all grown up. There's a bit of controversy about Danielle Harris. Not controversy, but they kind of did her dirty when it came to this. They wanted somebody who was over 18 so that they could work them longer hours. Maybe there was going to be some possible nudity involved. There's some scenes that are risky for a younger kid to do. So she got herself emancipated, went through all the trouble of doing that so that she was legally an adult. Comes out, and they lowballed her and told her that she was going to die in the first act, so she wasn't worth it. So she'd gone through all this trouble to make all these changes in her life around being in this movie, and they kind of, like I said, they did her dirty. She also said that she read the script and could tell that it was going to be a pile of shit, and she wasn't wrong. So it also left open the door for her to be in the Rob Zombie iterations of Halloween when she was an adult, and she got to really close the door on her Halloween journey with that. And I think that was more fitting of an ending than if she had been in this. If she had been in this, it would have been difficult for her to be in the Rob Zombie ones. It would have been too hard for people to parse out in their minds. Oh, fucking Man in Black. We got introduced to this in part 5. We don't really know what the correlation is. Basically, they just started working shit into part 5 and figured that they would make sense of it in part 6. And part 5 was a disaster. So it's set unsolved for years until a fan named Daniel Farrens wrote this script for Halloween 6 and kind of tried to tie everything together. And he did it, but it's like, okay. So that's Jamie, Michael's niece, all grown up, and she just had a baby. We'll address who the father is later. Okay, so we've gotten to the first major difference in the 2 movies. This scene is narrated by Paul Rudd in the theatrical release, and in this version, it's done by Donald Pleasance. Now, in my eyes, Donald Pleasance is beyond reproach. His portrayals of Dr. Loomis are unfallible. Like, whatever he does is acceptable by me. So it's hard for me to say this, but Paul Rudd's voiceover is better. Loomis just doesn't seem to have any energy in his voice. He seems almost sedated, and it's hard to understand what, like, it's a little bit demure or mundane. It's just not as engaging as the Paul Rudd version is. I don't know what was up with him, but I actually understand the decision to take Loomis off and make it Paul Rudd. And they couldn't have him record it again because he was already dead. So they had to use the Paul Rudd. This is the ending of part 5 we're showing here, where Michael was in his cell wearing the mask and got broken out by the man in black. Now we're doing some revisionist history. She saw Michael getting loaded into a van in handcuffs, and the man in black just took her. So I guess the implication is that she's been a prisoner of the cult of Thorn since she was a kid. There's a novelization of the original Halloween from 1978, and this film incorporates a lot of themes and ideas from that. And I really address that in my other commentary of this, but since I want them to be standalone as much as they can be, I will tread over that ground again. This is basically all the same, except for, you see how we get the trademark Halloween theme here? I believe it's like guitars and metal riffs in the theatrical release, and I like this version better. The other one is more dated. It probably felt like a breath of fresh air at the time. They probably felt like they were trying to reach the modern audience, but it feels much more dated with the score and the songs that are used. The Halloween theme itself is more timeless. And it just sets the mood better. That's what I want with my Michael Myers. That's a personal choice, but I like the score better in this version. There's, like I said before, I'm torn on the two versions. There's things I like better about both of them. This is all basically the same. We have George Wilbur back playing the Shape. He was the Shape in part 4. Unfortunately, like, that wasn't a good portrayal of the Shape. That's one of the worst ones. But 5 was horrible. No offense to Donald Shanks, but that might be the worst Michael Myers. So then they brought Wilbur back for this one. They gave him a better mask than he had in part 4. And he doesn't look quite so frumpy. And it's one of the better Michaels that we get. God damn. I think part of the reason that people have trouble replicating the look of the mask is that they often start from scratch with the right pieces, but they don't consider the lighting of the film. I think the lighting of the film has a lot to do with it, because I've seen pictures of the mask from this movie where it's not painted yet, and just the silhouette and kind of the shading of it, it looks like the original mask. It looks like a great mask. And then for some reason, once it gets painted white and the way that the lighting in the film hits it, it just doesn't quite look right. This one's not a bad one, but I think that that's the case with a lot of them. The lighting has a lot to do with it. What kind of white is it? Is it going to look purple in certain light? Does it make it look dirty? Does it make it look too white and washed out? So this all is playing out basically the same as it did in the other one, but this kill here is embellished in the next one. See, here it's just a simple neck break, and I can handle that. I like some realism in my horror movies, and that's something that's realistic. The theatrical cut he breaks his head like right off of his spinal column, and it goes through the skin, and you can see his spine sticking out of his skin. And I just don't dig it. I like that version better. 45 Lampkin Lane, Old Myers house. The blonde-haired police officer in part 2, when he's calling over the CB radio, he says, head over to I'm at the Old Myers house, 45 Lampkin Lane. I like those little details. So, first I'll address, right here is a part that helps with the character building with her and her relationship with Danny that gets cut out in the theatrical cut. She's going to do like this kind of spell thing to help sit right here, like a shield of safety or a veil of safety she's creating for Danny by saying these words. At least it makes it look like she does an effort. It makes it look like she's trying to be a mom. They cut that part out in the other one, and I think that the relationships between the people are a part of what help us care about them when they're being pursued by Michael, and that's what makes for a better horror movie than just, you know, Friday the 13th style throwaway characters that get murdered. But Danny is kind of supposed to be a representation of Michael when he was young. In the novel, there's a character from way back in old Ireland that hears a voice, and Michael is said in the story to hear the same voice. And it's kind of a kind of like what Danny's experiencing. And it's like a building tension and anxiety, and it gets to a fever pitch. And his hope is that when he kills Judith, it'll go away. It'll satisfy it. It'll release that from him. And it's just doesn't happen for Michael, obviously. But they're basically doing this thing where Danny is young Michael Myers and the shape is adult Michael Myers. She's kind of low-key cute, huh? Not bad there. And they're doing, it's not quite meta, but the characters in the movie are aware of who Michael Myers is. They're talking about him on this radio show right now, the Barry Sims show, which will come up later in the film. That's Tommy Doyle from the original one, the little boy, now all grown up, living across the street from the Myers house and spying on her like a creeper. That was a little bit of a weird edit. So Tommy has grown up, and it appears in this that the direction that they're going is he's going to be the new Loomis. Because of the decisions you see that they make with Loomis later on, he is by default not going to be able to fill the void of being the pursuer of Michael and the one who warns people of Michael. So it seems that torch is going to be picked up by Tommy and carried from this point going forward. And that kind of makes sense because he got a glimpse of this evil when he was a boy. And now there's this huge legend built up around it. He's one of the few people to have encountered Michael and lived to tell about it. And he just can't get it out of his head. It's stuck in his craw like the ending of Game of Thrones is for me. This scene is extended from what it is in the theatrical cut. this moving shot through Loomis's house. Even the radio conversations are edited. They're much more tame in this version, and they're not trying to be so edgy. It's less like a Howard Stern type show, and it's more like a conspiracy theorist type show, if that makes sense. It's very much retired. And of course, this is the last film that we get Loomis in live action. There's some work done with his voice, or some attempts to copy his voice later on, or some references to him in the other movies. This is the last one he's in. And this fella here is the gentleman that Loomis was arguing with in the parking lot of the original. The one who told Loomis that Michael didn't know how to drive a car, and he said he was doing very well last night. So the implication is that this guy, who's also the Man in Black, spoilers, he's the Man in Black in the theatrical release as well. The implication is that this guy has been assisting Michael the entire time, and probably is the one who helped him get out way back then. So they're trying to stitch stuff together. Daniel Farron's the guy who came up with this script. He's really trying to stitch all these elements of the past back together and make sense of it. So he went back and saw that was a character that nothing was done with. He saw that Tommy was a character that nothing was done with. And so it gives you stuff to work with moving forward. That's always something that's on the table in horror, is going back and looking at somebody who survived another movie that nothing was done with. And then we can just fast forward time, catch up with this character, and now we've got a story that works because it's familiar to the audience but new. One thing that's weird is that Tommy was blonde when he was a kid, and they cast Paul Rudd, who is a brunette, to play him as an adult. So it's not as easy of a correlation to make for people. But Michael was blonde when he was a kid. I guess, do we ever see what... Oh yeah, he gets unmasked in the original. He's got brown hair, so he also grew up to have brown hair. And along with doing the little Danny is young Michael, hearing the voices before he ever starts murdering people, Paul Rudd, the Tommy character, along with appearing to be on the track of being the new Loomis, it seems at times like maybe he's on track to be the new Michael. He's walking that line. So I think having him go from blonde to brunette the same way Michael did fits with that story. One of the holes that I always thought existed in both movies is this guy getting a hold of Loomis to try to bring him back in to be some type of a replacement. How fucking old is Loomis? Like, you're gonna bring this guy in to replace you and he's gonna die a couple years later? Like, the real actor died after this movie was filmed, shortly after. How much run is he gonna get out of this current appointment you're giving him? And how shitty is it of you to find your replacement in a person who's like 90 years old?
I don't want to practice medicine anymore.
So now Loomis hears Jamie on the radio calling from the bus station. Michael Myers. Coincidentally, they both happen to be listening. Tommy and Dr. Loomis happen to be listening. The only two people in the world who would believe her and pursue it with any energy whatsoever. They both heard it at the same time, and they both perk up like a dog when you say treat. Huh? Michael Myers? Shit. If they weren't only above the neck shots, we would have seen them each get a hard-on, even Loomis at his age. The idea that they might get to go chase around Michael Myers. Boing! This poor baby has to have that Thorn blood shit on its chest. The best behaved baby ever. Hear how much it's crying and shit right now? Once she hides it away in that cupboard, it doesn't cry anymore at all. I'm hoping that I'm able to remember all the differences between the two. I had them down, but it's been a while. And since they're both essentially the same for the most part, they do have their major differences, but they're similar enough that it's not like watching different movies. You usually watch one or the other. Not both, like back to back, to go, oh, that was blue before, now it's red. This is all the same. I like that Michael's hands are fucked up. That continuity. He's been burned and shit. He's been through hell and back. He smells like smoke because he's been through fire, JR. You taking a poop in here? Mind if I join you? Can I piss between your legs? Uh-huh. Boom, 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 boom. What is this score? This doesn't fit with Halloween or like the modern rock stuff. This is like nothing. It looks like there's two people in that van behind her. I'll go to my grave thinking there's two people in that car. It must be part of the filming process, but it's not supposed to be part of the film that there's two people in there, but there definitely looks like there's two people there to me. Oh, I'm just gonna crash into this barn. Should have got a Hemi. And this wouldn't have happened. I don't know if you know that or not. It's a classic Silverado. It's probably like, what, a mid-'80s Silverado? That boxy look. So it's pretty obvious that she left the baby there. No mother's just going to leave her baby in the truck like that and wander away. My wife wouldn't do that with her purse, let alone their baby. She's also fucked up, though, because she just gave birth. Like, that's a traumatic thing for a body to go through. And now she's running away from Michael Myers and just got in a car crash as well. Is she delirious because she's not attempting to look around and be aware of her surroundings at all? She just let him come right up to her. You didn't even get to see her stabbed or anything? Okay, that's a little bit fucking weird. This is the major divergence between the two. She lives in this one, and he kills her in the other one. But keep in mind, this is also the original. This is the way it was intended to be first, and then they changed it afterwards because they didn't like the result. So we just got kind of like a half-assed off-camera stab in the stomach for her there. And then he just walks away. Michael wasn't even in the shot. We saw like a silhouette of him walking in, but we never saw the mask clear or anything. So this gentleman here is Laurie Strode's dad's brother. So it's Laurie Strode's uncle. Which is kind of weird. So he bought the house from Laurie Strode's dad because he could never sell it because the Myers shit happened there. He bought it from his brother, moved his family in there. Now the town puts up these signs and shit, kind of mocking them for living in the Myers house. He goes out pissed off and cuts them down. Yet somehow, the implication in the movie is that his family does not know this was the Myers house. Everybody else in the town knows, but they don't know. I find that a little hard to believe.
That's what someone would like us to believe.
I also... Are they trying to say that the evil comes from the house, and that's why Danny hears the voices? Because there is no family connection there. His sister was adopted by the Strodes. And then this is relatives of the Strodes. There was never any blood connection to the Strodes.
Always growing stronger.
It's just a way that he, I guess... It was just a way he thought he could be creative and bring some elements in from the past and try to tie it all together, I suppose. But Danny is not related to Michael in any way. But that's who the family living in the house is, if you wondered.
Dr. Wynn, I didn't expect you in this morning.
Oh, Dr. Wynn. Oh, I brought in this young chap. He's going to be my apprentice and hopefully take over for me. Even though he's 79 years old.
Back at the hospital. Dr. Wynn, there's something you should know.
Dawn, I'd like you to get Dr. Lewis anything he needs, files, tests...
Dr. Wynn Dixie.
...treatment we've ever administered to a former patient of ours, Michael Myers.
Michael Myers?
Yes, bitch, Michael Myers. You heard me.
I just received a phone call. That girl, Jamie Lloyd, her body was found this morning near Haddonfield.
See, in the other version, she died. In this version, she lived.
Code red lockdown for 24 hours. If that maniac is really out there, I plan to bring him back alive.
So that's some foreshadowing there. He means that.
Barry's my homeboy from Chicago.
This whole phone conversation is cut off in the other version.
Beth and I are down on this gig. Danny.
And I think that it helps. I think that this is kind of what either makes you dislike or endears you to the characters. In the other version, we kind of just cut to them all at the table and it slaps you in the face. The ending to this one really sucks. So their solution to that was to cut a lot of the character development stuff out of this and a lot of those little parts, so that they could use more time to make the ending longer and better and do a little bit more explaining. And even this guy, he's super asshole for sure, but in this version his behavior makes a little more sense and he's a little bit more humanized. The edits in the other version make him look like a total irrational cocksucker. See, the mom's gonna slide her $20 right here. Oh, I'm wrong. It's coming up, though.
It's called psychology, Mom. Living in this house is enough to drive anyone crazy.
Oh, yeah? Well, who the hell asked you to come back here in the first place?
He's a little harsh with her, but they're doing you a favor. When you're an adult with your own kids, it's not owed to you for you to be able to go home and live with your fucking parents. You got yourself in this position. They are helping you out. Don't forget that. This is his house and you are staying here. I had a roommate who used to do shit like that, and I didn't... See, she slides her a 20, and now he freaks out. In the other version, you don't see the 20 get slid across. You see just the mom's face, and then he starts throwing money at him, and you're like, what is this guy reacting like this for? But when you see the mom slide her the money, it makes a lot more sense. But that roommate I had, yeah, he would, like, thought he could just leave shit all over my apartment. Like, the apartment's my name. He wasn't even on the lease. He rented a room for me. And he thought he could just leave shit on my coffee table or make a mess out of this or invite people over without telling me they were coming. And so one day I set him straight. I was like, dude, this is my apartment and you stay here. This is not our apartment.
Me like that again, and so help me.
God damn.
You understand?
There's a reason all the shit in the living room and kitchen and all that is mine. You have a bedroom. It's not like we cohabitate all this environment. All this shit is mine. That probably sounded harsh, but I was doing him a favor letting him stay with me to begin with, and I let him stay with me for a long fucking time for free. So he's still indebted to me as far as I'm concerned. He never quite paid that back. I did him a shitload of favors and got him out of a shitload of situations. But that's just kind of who he was. He didn't seem to be aware of his effect on other people, or he was selfish, or he's a sociopath. I don't know what it was, but he would just take and take and take and take and take until I finally just was like, all right, we're done.
How many times do I have to tell you? No, Danny, we know. Grandpa didn't really hurt me.
I think he asked me for a favor one day. This part right here is cut out too, where she says, Grandpa didn't really hurt me.
Catch bus.
That's her trying to make it okay with her son. Not really implying the best image, though. Because you don't want your son to think it's okay for him to just hit people. And then, oh, it's fine. My mom used to get hit by my grandpa, and he said it was fine. It's fine. But it's also one of the scenes where you can see her making an honest attempt to be a parent. And that gets cut out of the next version. A lot of the humanizing scenes are cut out of the next version. It makes them more just caricatures or surface level.
She's not my daughter anymore.
But the homie, one day, he asked me for a favor. And I was like, dude, you know, it's getting harder and harder to consider this a friendship. And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, you just ask me for shit all the time. You never want to do anything cool. You just want me to do something for you. And it's like, so if it's not a friendship, then it's a business relationship. So you want me to do that, you can pay me. And we never really talked to each other again.
Happy Halloween, Mrs. Blankenship.
Oh, Colt of Thorn pretending to be deaf landlord bitch. How does Tommy afford all this? He's like the fucking American Beauty kid. Is he selling weed? Because he's got a fancy stereo. He recorded that radio station on a reel-to-reel. This is like some studio quality shit. Meanwhile, he lives upstairs in this room like a struggling college student. And it never shows him doing anything other than thinking about, talking about, or absorbing content related to Michael Myers. He managed to hear that bus call in the background, rewind it, isolate it, and turn it up, and then make out what it was saying. Ugh. There's a difference between good writing and wouldn't it be cool if. A lot of people can come up with great wouldn't it be cool if stories, but to make stuff seem more like it's natural and not like, I guess that's passable, but that's like in CSI when they're like, well, we'll just make everything possible for solving these cases. We'll be able to magnify everything. We'll be able to stabilize everything. We'll be able to clear up every image. We're going to find semen on everything. Everything's going to be fine. It gets to a point in shows like that where you just know everything's, well, they're going to find semen on here and then everything's going to be fine. Halfway into the show, they have a suspect and you're looking at your watch like, there's still 30 fucking minutes left in this thing. I know it's not this guy. After Tommy discovers this baby, he needs to get on the horn and call up, I don't know who you call for this, the health department, OSHA, Because this bus station has the worst janitorial service I've ever seen. This bitch was in here with that baby a solid 12 hours ago. The blood is still there on the ground, in the sink, and nobody's found that baby down there. Is this town on the verge of being deserted? Does nobody use this bus station except for to cop heroin? The idea that nobody heard that baby under there that entire time. Ugh, goddamn. I got enough sound. I've heard enough baby crying for my entire life. The one kid I have, I've heard enough crying. No more crying. Oh, and now Michael's a tagger. Michael has a trademark symbol like a professional wrestler, and he takes the time to burn it into a stack of hay bales. And Loomis knows what it is as soon as he sees it. I can see your eyes rolling under your... You couldn't reshoot that? She looked like she was in REM sleep. Oh, she's still alive. That's right. I fucking forget. Who is this guy? I don't even remember this guy. He's the worst Halloween sheriff ever. Oh, that's the way it's gonna stay. Fish with his mouth closed don't get caught, motherfucker. You in my 5? This guy's a knucklehead. This is terrible. Ernie, you hear me? You in my 5? See, right here, we have that, what is it, Black Hole Sun or something playing in the other version. But this is the classic score that's building tension. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. I like it a lot better, personally. And it's far less dated. Of course, you can tell by what they're wearing and some of the lingo they use that it's in a certain era. But it feels much more dated to the 90s with the other score, the other soundtrack. I wish I could remember the song. I don't think it's Black Hole Sun. I think it's cool. So somehow Danny's connected to the cult of Thorn, but that's never really explained. Why does Danny... Is it because he sleeps in Michael's room? Is that the source of the curse? Is whoever sleeps in that house? What happened to the people who lived there before Michael and his family? Did they build that house? This whole part's not in the other version either, where she's walking around the courtyard in the back. And I don't even think anything happens here, but you think something might just because of the score and the way it's shot. It looks like fall. It's beautiful. There's actually bare trees and no palm trees. Oh, he is there. What the fuck is he doing there? That didn't really fit. That was kind of weird. And I don't know if that shot made sense. When she looked the other direction, it didn't seem like any of those trees were that close to her. Give me a doctor! Oh, that makes me laugh every time. He goes from 0 to 60. He's calm and then he's irate. I fucking love that jacket Loomis has got on. I almost would bet money that's Pendleton.
Dr. Loomis. Thank God you're here. You heard her last night, didn't you? It was Jamie.
Paul Rudd is... It's over the top, but I think it works.
Tommy Doyle.
He's kind of crazy and twisted and deranged, and he seems unhinged, like he might fucking blow a screw loose any second.
What are you doing? Please. I need to know the truth.
Yes, I do.
Myers has come home, hasn't he?
What do you know about Michael?
I know he's still out there. People in this town, they want us to believe he's...
So Tommy went to the hospital because he said he needs a doctor for the baby. Loomis and Wynn are at the hospital because they're visiting Jamie, who is the baby's mother. They actually have the baby and the mother in the same location right now. They just can't put it together.
Oh, God. There's a family, relatives of the people who adopted Lori, Strodes. They're living in the Myers house. Dr. Loomis, about Michael. It's just a theory of mine.
So now the new thing is Michael's going to kill whoever lives in his house.
Meet me tonight, 9 o'clock at the campus rally.
Knock that bitch down with a bulldozer. How long would that have sat on the market before they just demolished it and rebuilt?
Who is that boy?
Turn it into an ironic cemetery. So ironic. Oh, now we get to the shoe flipping scene. Flipping shoes. She's got Nike Airs on right here, and then later she's going to have on Saucony's. And that is the implement with which she will be hit later. The guy hit Chrissy with an implement. Christopher. Chrissy. Oh my God, Tony, he's really dead. Yeah. Yeah. So her washing machine was flooded or some shit. And you're going to get a sweet shot of her shoes, and they're going to be the wrong shoes. Oh, am I wrong? Come on now. I sat on the hem and now mess around. Oh, yeah. Doesn't she look like Betsy Palmer? See? Saucony's. I told you. Look at it. I know what I'm talking about. I'm a sucker for a good continuity issue. I love them. But doesn't she look like Betsy Palmer? Mrs. Voorhees? I've always thought that. And wondered if that was done on purpose. Seems like a weird spot to put her because it's not like a symbolic role and it doesn't relate to Michael at all. But she just always felt to me a little bit like Mrs. Voorhees. How dare you? You just wandering around my fucking house? I don't even know who you are or why you're here or that you're here. Just quietly sneaking around in my fucking house. You're lucky I didn't hit you with this axe, motherfucker. And you're old. I don't know how well you could take it. You might fall down the stairs and get a shot to the kicker. I know that you've got a job, Miss Cheney, but your husband's heart problem's complicating. And the FCC won't let me be or let me be me, so let me see. They try to shut me down on MTV, but it feels so empty without me.
Like that name? Yeah, I think it suits you.
That's Gary. He's the cat's meow. Is that baby sedated? I always feel weird when they make babies be in movies. I guess it's better than fake ones, though, like that shitty American Sniper scene. He's just clearly holding a doll. Jack-o'-lantern inside. They love to put jack-o'-lanterns inside of houses in the Halloween movies. I've never seen that in my entire life. I guess there's not a reason you couldn't do it. I've just never seen it. In my mind, jack-o'-lanterns were always for carving and putting on the porch for other people to see.
It was pure evil.
But you burn candles in your house. I don't know why you couldn't burn. And plus, you don't get that weird soot on your ceiling if the candle is inside a pumpkin. I might be coming around on this idea.
I beg of you, don't let your family suffer the same fate that Laurie and her...
Give me the power, I beg of you!
I thought that
She's been found. Outside Haddonfield.
She can't stop moving her eyes underneath her closed eyelids. She's just rolling those motherfuckers. She's REM sleeping hard. We're giving her intravenous DMT. She doesn't know what dimension she's in. She thinks the aliens are real. They might be. I don't know. She's been communicating with interdimensional beings for upwards of 4 hours. We haven't time to waste.
John, something terrible has happened.
This is when she seems the most like Mrs. Voorhees.
Psychiatrist by the name of Lou.
You moved us into this house, John.
And he told me about
You didn't say anything.
here in our
And you knew. You didn't tell us.
John, they found Jamie Lloyd this morning.
This is all playing out almost exactly the same as the other version. Like a virgin, cut for the very 4th time.
John, I'm
Like a virgin.
You've lost it now. You know that, Deborah? You've just lost it.
the reason you moved us into this house. Your brother could never sell it because
What is that haircut? She's just
you knew.
packed it in as far as that goes. She's like, fuck it.
You knew.
I don't want to have to do anything with my hair. He's got a more complicated hairstyle than she does. Just kidding. I never understood Michael, like, stalking her right there in that scene. Why didn't he just get her? Why did he wait? I guess that's what Michael does. He's not so straightforward. This part here is cut out of the other version too. It just shows him getting drunk at work, but it doesn't show him have that moment looking at the picture of his daughter and saying, "Happy Halloween, girl." That's probably the only part in the movie where you get a glimpse that he loves his daughter, or that he at least even thinks about her. And I think that helps because not every character is so black and white. So one side or the other. Where I hate to use the word because everything's been stolen and used for a different purpose, but it's a spectrum. We're all some elements of good and some elements of bad. It's just what the ratio is, and that fluctuates in each person over the course of time. And I don't understand this correlation. How do they know that Michael's there to, like, they call right when Michael's standing behind her and they coordinate this whole... There was those Sauconys again. Sauconys! Nike Airs. Yes. Another thing I noticed is that Loomis is like the Michael repellent. It had that shot where she was carrying the stuff inside, Michael standing across the street. Then she hears somebody in her house and ends up being Loomis. They sit down and have a long conversation. As soon as Loomis leaves, Michael! So here, and we get the blood spatter on the sheets. Michael takes the laundry down into the basement. You know, he's a thoughtful guy. If you're going to be kind enough to let him murder you in your backyard, he's decent enough to take the sheets down and wash them. He dirtied them. He's got a sense of personal responsibility and hygiene. Oh. Flashback to when Tommy was a kid and Lonnie made him drop his pumpkin. I almost forgot Lonnie's name. I'm ashamed of myself. Her green sweater there looks kind of like a sweater that Jamie Lee's wearing in the first one. Here we go again with the classic score. I love it. I like the classic score. I just feel like this plays out much more like a regular Halloween movie would. It's not so fucking chaotic, but there are some scenes missing from this one that are in the other one. that are pretty good. Like when he goes in and just fucks up all the doctors. I don't think that's in this at all. This one has a pretty boring anticlimactic ending.
Hello?
The ending from the other one, though, and then all the build-up from this one, you'd end up with like a 2-hour movie. But it would be better, I think. Dun, 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 boom. Spark it up, man. Light the bong, dude. Smoke and a pancake. Bong and a plinth. Flapjack and a cigar. I'm done. Sorry. Oh man, that chair is missing one of the. Is it called a rung or a what on the back? She's standing in the way, blocking it right now. But you can see it's not symmetrical when she moves. Look, one of those is missing. Whatever those things are called. That's why. Why not put a chair there that looks right? Does it make it feel more authentic, like somebody actually lives there? You just walked by a stack of weapons, bitch. Pick one of those up. If I'm even the least bit suspicious something's going on inside my house, I'm grabbing a knife. Or a bat. Or both. I have bats by all the exits and my bed. Try me. You got that nice runner going up the stairs. That's expensive. You better take care of it. Good care of it. This house feels much more like the Myers house than the one that they used in part 5. You guys have these nice rugs running the whole length of your hallway and stairs. Where'd you get this kind of bread? Cheddar Man can. Cheddar Man can. It's the handyman. What are you doing in my house, you fucking freak? You didn't hear me calling out? Nobody heard me? Why are you up here with the door shut like fucking recluses? Refugees, you hiding out from the mob? You in witness protection?
What are you doing with my son? And where's my mother?
She wasn't here when Annie came home.
Danny, go downstairs. But Tommy's my new friend.
But I'm your mom and I told you to do something, so get the fuck downstairs. Thank you.
You're in danger.
You're way too trusting of this random guy that just showed up with your son. He's probably been talking to your son about butthole pleasures and stuff, and you're just like, sure, I'll hang out with you.
Honesty.
That looked like one of those lamps that you can turn on by tapping the base. Slapping the base.
You don't really expect us to stay.
My grandma used to have those. You hit the base, it turns on, you hit it again, it gets brighter, you hit it again, full brightness.
Same as this?
Slap at the base one more time and it turns off, man. Slap at the base one time. He has a magnet on his fridge that says, die yuppie scum. Danny. Kill for him, Danny.
Not now, Danny.
I'm going to stick a knife in your mother's butt, Danny. I will put a condom on it, Danny. I actually think I figured out that this kid, Danny, in this movie is almost the exact age I would have been when this movie was made. I had a bowl cut back then, the whole nine. But I wasn't quite into horror yet. I don't even think I was into horrors yet. So, for me, the first major Halloween release that I remember in my lifetime, where I remember the trailers and I remember it coming out in theaters, I couldn't go see it, but I remember it being, was H2O. And that's the one that I had the VHS of. That's the one I probably watched more than any of the other ones. So, I think that there's a couple of camps of people who have I think there's a camp of people who have really strong feelings about Halloween 6, and I think there's a camp of, and they don't feel the same way about H2O. They don't like H2O that much. And I think there's a camp of people that feel strongly about H2O and they don't really dig Halloween 6 so much. And I think a lot of that is generational. And I think that the difference in age could be just a few years. If you were 12, 13, even 10 to 15 when this movie came out, then it's probably year one. But if you were 8, okay, this is the scene where they show us who the baby's father is. They strapped her up like some kind of Virgin Mary with a crown of holly on her forehead. And somehow they got Michael to fuck her and impregnate her, and so the baby is Michael's. There was really no reason to have her survive in the movie, except for to have that dream and us to realize that's where the baby came from. This is one of my major problems with the Cult of Thorn and this entry in the franchise, period, is the idea that Michael can be controlled, that anybody has their hand on the leash, that there's any type of cooperation within Michael. I don't believe that. I believe he's a singular entity. He operates alone. His motives are unknown. He can't be swayed. He can't be controlled. The evil can't be shared. None of that. I hate all of that being incorporated into the lore. I don't mind the movie, but I hate that part of the lore. I hate that it gets included. I don't like it at all. So that's why I'm probably in the H2O crowd. I respect this movie. I think it's definitely not even close to the worst entry in the franchise, but it fucks with the lore too much. Whereas H2O, which H2O may not have been possible if this one didn't happen first, but H2O wiped that all off the board, said we're not going to really fuck with the lore at all. In fact, we're going to get Jamie Lee Curtis back, and we're going to make like Halloween 3, essentially. The H2O was basically like Halloween 3 according to the original storyline. It was following after Halloween 2. And they didn't make any attempt really to fuck with the lore at all. They just made a movie that Michael Myers and Laurie Strode were in. And I like that better. I don't like curses and druids and the magic and the fucking... It's too muddled. I'm not afraid of it anymore.
What would happen if he succeeded? If he killed the last member of his family?
The curse would be passed.
And the curse would be passed on to another child.
Okay, so Michael's goal was to kill every member in his family, and the curse would be passed. Why did they make a baby? He could have just killed Jamie. They made the baby just to be killed? This doesn't make any fucking sense. And why has Danny already started hearing the voice, like the curse is transitioning prematurely?
Oh no, we're
He's gonna come all over the inside of his shorts before he even gets a sniff of the pussy. Like, what's going on? I didn't mean for this to turn into me tearing apart Halloween 6. I was just... Those are my issues with it.
Whatever you do, don't go back to your house.
I can appreciate that somebody looked at what they were given, all the shit that was laid out on the table, and tried to make sense of it.
Dr. Loomis, during surgery we
I just...
the uterus was hemorrhaging.
I don't like when you start working magic and stuff into it. And we found out later that you didn't need to try to make sense of all of it. You could just wipe that shit off the table and proceed with a new timeline.
And the question is, where is the baby?
Because it's Michael that matters. And Michael in as pure of a form as possible. The more it gets diluted and adulterated and bent and shaped and deformed, it just loses something.
Because that's when we go trick-or-treating and get candy.
Well,
Yeah, we get candy.
long time ago, it was a
This story that she tells Danny kind of relates to the curse and the elements of the novelization that get worked into this movie.
warmed themselves by the fireside.
Kind of the lore behind it.
All across the land, huge bonfires were lit.
Is Strode an Irish name? Because obviously Myers is. So that was part of the implication, was that they were old Irish druids, and that Michael Myers is Irish, and so that's an easy connection to make. It gets passed along, just bada bing.
Especially the boogeyman.
What's the boogeyman?
It's like the Candy Man, but he gives you boogers.
Good night, Mrs. Blankenship.
He hears the voice, you know.
The Candy Man is
The other boy that lived in that house.
not aptly named. That's misleading as hell.
What are you talking about? I was babysitting with him that night.
I think you see Michael in the window when the lightning strikes. Let's see if it happens.
That's when the voice came. The night he murdered his sister.
Come on, lightning.
It told
Come on, lightning.
kill his family.
There he is. Yes, Michael.
Where the hell's Barry? Let's go.
Get starstruck on me now, Tim. We got a real agenda here.
So the nationally syndicated radio show from Chicago, the Barry Sims Show, is coming to Haddonfield. I believe they're talking about there being a ban on Halloween. Is that the... I don't remember if there was a ban on Halloween in the story or not. Hey! It's Jeff Foxworthy. He really does look like Jeff Foxworthy. Like, quite a bit. This guy's been getting shit-faced at work. I think that his death plays out better in this version of the film, too. It's less ridiculous and over the top. People can get electrocuted. I don't know if their heads explode when it happens. Thanks for the dinner. She really left. Yeah, that'll happen, bro. Ooh, let's play a game. There's a weird bit of strategy and tact to Michael. Like, was he sitting there waiting for Homeboy to get home and then he flipped the power off? Or was it a reaction to the guy getting home? Is he just setting these traps and waiting for people? Or is he down there, like, building a really epic Lego set? And he hears that guy coming and he's like, fuck. Gotta come up with a plan to kill this dude so I can go back to building my Legos. God damn it, dude. I was about to finish the Millennium Falcon. Now I gotta kill you? Such a douche. Ruining my day, making me murder you. Come out, wherever you are. Oh, Michael's gonna come out, but he's not gonna be the one getting a dick in the ass. That's gonna be you, bro. Okay, how is the washing machine still going if the power's off? We got more magic, or... So the bloody clothes, remember I talked about what a gentleman Michael was? That's what he was down there doing. He was down there doing the laundry, and he got interrupted. He took the bloody laundry off the clothing line, and he was washing it. What a guy. Ooh, and the music, yes. Boom, boom, dum, 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 dum. It just makes me not bounce my head. I can't help it. Like a rock star. See, I think this shot's effective enough. I don't think that we need his head to explode like it does in the other version. Realism. Here I am bitching about, well, that's kind of the reason I don't like the Thorn and stuff too. It's the realism. I don't like things that generally detract from the realism, at least of Michael Myers movies, because they're one of the horror franchises that is set most firmly in realism. They're as close as you can get.
There is no boogeyman.
You might be a redneck.
Riled up in the sack, too? I bet she wears crotchless panties and barks like a dog.
And might be a redneck.
As I was saying, we have to stop acting out of fear. Just look at Tim's family. They live
She's so agenda-raged. See, how does he not know they live in the Myers house? How is that possible? I hate that part of the fucking story. I really do. You can't make the characters that dumb. There's no way that that hasn't been brought up to him by somebody trying to fuck with him at the very least. His own girlfriend hasn't brought it up. Like, how does he not know? They held a town-wide meeting where this family was excluded and said, hey, let's not talk to them about this, guys. I didn't know I lived in the Myers house. It's really creeping me out, okay, Brenda? My name's Kate. Whatever, I'm still creeped out. Fuck your feelings. I'll pull the van out back. Out back your mom's fucking ass. So this is another scene that was altered, and I don't know why. If you're gonna watch, there is a Haddonfield sanitarium van parked right next to the radio station van. He gets in the Haddonfield sanitarium van, thinking it's his van. That's why Michael kills him. He gets in Michael's van instead of his own van. They totally cut that part out of the other version where it looks like he got in his own van, and that's why Michael killed him. Oh, he called him a pussy, too.
Sure, we could do another show on it. Kick the audience in the face enough, and they'll lick you all over.
Is that what you guys want? Do I need to kick you in the face and you'll lick me all over? Can you send a picture before I agree to let you lick me all over? That's a big ask. I don't want anybody to lick me all over. I don't let my dog lick me, at least not very much. She gets to lick me sparingly. Only when I decide to break out the peanut butter does she get to lick me, and then it's benefiting both of us. This is a mutual relationship here. I'm gonna go take a piss right quick. Y'all listen to weird squeaking noises and this guy be a bitch.
Do you think Barry's gonna show up?
Let's hope not. Sorry you turned out to be such an asshole.
It's okay.
Where is everyone? Mom? Kara?
We're probably at the fair, which is where we should be.
Beth? What you said before about Michael Myers living in our house? Is that really true?
It was a cold Halloween night. He stood in the shadows, watching through the windows as his sister and her boyfriend made love. Then he crept inside, picked up a huge butcher knife,
And fucked your mom in the ass with it. If I've been saying that stuff too much lately, I'm sorry. I'm so vulgar. I apologize. This isn't the real me. I'm putting on a front because I want you guys to think I'm a tough guy. I'm really a big softy.
Myers lived in my house, okay?
Fuck out of here with that shit.
I was just fooling around.
No, this is fooling around. That's not a knife. This is a knife. Just some rubbish, you just biff it in there. It's like having a brick in your mouth. Mommy, it's raining red. She's got a little bit of like rhythm to it here. She's singing a song, and the other one, it's Mommy, it's raining red. I don't know why that needed to be changed. And what fucking kid knows that it doesn't rain red? I mean, what kid doesn't know? I have a 5-year-old, and if he went outside and it was raining red, he would be fucking alarmed. He wouldn't just be like, oh, this is what happened today. He wouldn't be like, oh, I guess this happens once in a while every 5 years. This must be normal. That's not what he would think at all. And I don't like the idea that Michael strung this guy up in Christmas lights and hung him up in the fucking tree in the middle of this populated area. It just doesn't fit or make sense. Part of the reason I'm so harsh when it comes to Halloween movies is because I expect more from them. I see the true value in the character of Michael Myers and in the franchise and what could have been. And so when they mishandle shit and do stupid shit, it pisses me off because it really is a juggernaut and should be treated as such. Why would it be attractive if she barked like a dog? I don't want to fuck something that's barking like a dog. I want to fuck something that's moaning like a woman. The hell? You into fucking dogs, dude? You want her to pretend she's a dog? What about dogs turns you on? Are you seeing a psychiatrist? Have you been getting into my estrogen pills? Number 5 is probably mostly responsible, though, for the shit that's wrong with this one. Number 5 added the Thorn tattoo and the man in black, and Mr. Ferrens, bless his heart, felt obligated to incorporate that all into his story. And those are really the what the fuck parts. If there was no man in black and no cult of Thorn, it would have been a lot easier to manage the situation.
I'll be in a minute.
Maybe in hindsight, they should have just ignored that aspect of the story altogether. But they did what they did, and here we are. I like this foggy mirror shot. Oh. Except for we barely get to see the kill because it's... Why didn't he smash his face into the mirror? Come on. Michael likes looking at himself. He's feeling himself today. Drip, drip, Michael, drip, drip. Oh. Just with Michael killing a dumb bitch, then he came through with the big drip.
Is Tim with you? In the shower. I'm across the street.
She's about to watch a live snuff film in a weird way. She's like removed from it, but at the same time, she's watching a live murder take place. It's got to be a weird fucking feeling. Talk about traumatized. This would be traumatizing. How helpless does she feel staring across the street watching her brother's girlfriend get slaughtered and she just can't do anything about it. And now the fucking curse drawing Danny over to the house. That would be fucking terrifying as a parent, though. And kids do some unexplainable shit. Some kids could just wander over to that house for no reason without being drawn by a curse. But the idea that the man with the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes, the shape of a man, the physical manifestation of pure evil, is loose in this house. And so is your kid. And you can't find him. She grabbed a weapon at least. It's a decent weapon. It's kind of heavy. It's got a good range, but you got to be accurate with that. If you take a big wind-up and swing with a fire poker and miss, you're going to be vulnerable for a good half a second before you can get back into a solid defensive position, and that's when he's going to strike. It's like throwing a big overhand haymaker right hand that everybody sees coming. You fall off balance, you're not protecting your face, and they can pretty much have their way with you for a good half a second to a second before you can gain yourself and get back into a defensive posture. It's not good. You want something that's quick. No, I'm not saying get a little bitch-ass pocket knife switchblade, but when you look at what he's got, it's got a decent weight to it, but it's a big knife, right? He can swing that fucking thing fast. So if you've got an axe or a baseball bat or whatever it is, you got to pick your shots, because if you miss him, he's going to slash you up before you can pick that bat back up to hit him. Or fire poker, whatever the case may be. But if you use it as kind of like a jabbing tool, like a javelin, that might work. Like some fencing exercises, you got to keep him at distance, because then the quickness of the knife is nullified because he can't reach you. Aim right at his face. Poke that shit in his eyes when he gets close. I probably spend way too much time thinking about stuff like this. Part of me hopes that virtual reality presents the opportunity for some kind of an experience or video game, whatever the case may be. I want to be let loose in a house and have to go one-on-one with Michael in a virtual reality setting. I think that would be fucking dope. Put me in some kind of serial killer video game where I've got to defeat. We'll start with Chucky. He's the easiest. And then you go on to Jason, and then you go to Michael, or whatever the case may be. But I'm feeling exhilarated right now at the idea of it. Just give me some fucking house scene, and he's wandering around, I'm wandering around, and it's my resourcefulness against whatever limitations of the programming that has created him. Let's fucking get down. But it needs to be realistic, like some haptic feedback. I need to be able to tackle him, punch him in the face. I need to be able to bounce around on my toes, but I want it. Give it to me. That would be so fucking cool. And virtual reality works the best, because then it's not a real person. You're not fucking up a real person for the benefit of your weird, sick fantasy. Don't you guys think that would be dope? Am I a psycho? Like, there's other applications. Like, think about what it would be like to box Mike Tyson in virtual reality. But I'm looking at my living room right now, and I'm like, what if this was a virtual reality living room and there was just a Michael Myers right there, and I got to try my hand? He's going to pull my card, and we're going to see if it's good enough. We're going to get weighed and measured. And if he had like intelligent reactions, if it was different every time, so you couldn't just figure out like a pattern or a certain strategy that worked with 100% accuracy. I'm loving this idea. I'm loving this idea. I wonder if they'd be against it, if they think it would damage the brand to have these people constantly beating the shit out of Michael Myers in a video game. If it would make him seem less intimidating on the screen. I wonder if they'd feel that way. Because I want to fight the motherfucker. Let's go. Of course, If you're going with the somewhat superhuman, indestructible version from the films, I'd get my ass handed to me. I don't think they ever address how big he is, but he appears to be way bigger than I am, and that's going to be a major factor. Plus, he can take damage like none other. A simple 1-2 head kick isn't going to get the job done. A solid spinning back kick to the liver, like, you got to get creative. I don't even know if stamina is a thing with him, let alone an issue. He's eating organic dog, so you know that he's getting the highest level of protein available. And he reserves his energy well. He never walks too fast. He never gets too frantic. Slow and steady. Smooth is slow, slow is fast. Or, sorry, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Now everybody hears the voice. What is this fucking... Y'all hear this guy? He sound like a knucklehead. He in here talk about all these curses and nonsense. Ernie? Who let this old man in here? All these chillins? Who the fuck is you?
Careful with the girl.
Bruh. This is terrible. If Tink thinks so, maybe he is. You could overtake that old woman in a one-on-one fight. Now one of the worst edits in history. She jumps out the window. We're going to show her down on the grass, and then we're just going to smash cut. Fade to black. Oh, now we're underground below Smith's Grove in the Cult of Thorn lair, playing Dungeons and Dragons with the warlocks. Like, to put it in perspective, Game of Thrones almost had too much magic and supernatural shit in it for me. Almost. If it wasn't such a good show and the socio-economic, political intrigue elements weren't so great, I probably would have been off board with how much kind of weird magic shit is in there. And in my opinion, the magic shit in here is more ridiculous. I know there's no dragons and shit, but it's just weak. So unfounded. Why are you sitting over there by yourself, Pogo? And I hate the look of this build. It's so clinical. I guess it is, huh? I'm a dumbass. It's supposed to be Smith's Grove.
Tell you in the hospital. I think Michael is under the influence of an evil ruin.
Oh my god, the ruins. The ruins. Oh, and the fact that Loomis just buys into this. Loomis has been on this case for 30 years. And all of a sudden, Tommy's like, oh, ancient druids and ruins and thorn symbols. And Loomis is like, by God, that's it. You've done it. You've done it. And now Tommy's there with his charcoal briquettes. Oh, fuck. We've gotten into the darkest part of the film. And we are at 1:20. There's only 12 minutes left. Shit, movie's almost over. So now it's revealed that the ultimate plan... So Wynn has been essentially like the protector and guardian. Like the courts awarded him custody of Michael. And he is trying to pass that torch on to Loomis, which again, What the fuck kind of a dumb idea is that? Loomis is so old. He's really on the back nine. He's on the last hole. He's putting for birdie on the last hole. This shit is over. Stick a fork in him. He's done. Call it a day. And you're gonna all of a sudden make him your successor? You never hear of teams signing a 45-year-old quarterback to be their new starter and carry the franchise. Shit just doesn't work like that. And you're going to take Loomis, who's been the number one pursuer of Michael the entire franchise, and then make transition him into being the protector of Michael. I just don't see how it would have ever worked. Like, the sequel to this would have been madness. Yes, exactly. Madness. Thank you, Win.
The great plague. These are signs that we must restore balance to the natural order of things.
And horror had basically run its course at this point. This is just before the rejuvenation. It's kind of funny how that works. It looks like it's at its deadest, and then it gets a huge breath of life. So Scream came out right after this, and Scream really rejuvenated people's interest in horror and brought a fresh set of eyes to it. And a new attitude about making horror and what horror could be. And then H2O benefited from that. And then they followed that up with Resurrection, which was a steaming pile of shit. Now that I've done all these, I'm thinking about sometime in the near future doing a podcast where I rank the Halloween franchise 1 through, 11 or 12 of them now? I would obviously start with the bottom and work my way from the worst to the best. But just give a little bit of an opinion about each and why I think ones are superior to others. It wouldn't be, I'm not meant to be the final word on the Halloween franchise or the expert, the go-to guy. Just what I think, why I think. It's all my opinion.
Spirits and powers of the flame. Tend and
Oh, now we get all these people at the... I hate this. So how is she involved now? So the baby's supposed to be the final sacrifice. Danny's supposed to carry the torch. Why is she there? Is he supposed to kill his mom to start it? And Michael's just sitting there like a fucking dog. Like a mindless zombie. Totally within Wynn's control. Like, when you realize there's only 10 minutes left in this, you go, wait, where was, like, the climax? What are we winding down from? Nothing happened. This is nonsense.
You can make him stop it. Don't kill the baby. You can stop it.
And she's pleading with Michael, and he's listening to her?
You know whose baby?
I'm sorry, but this is retarded.
Michael! The baby is yours, isn't it? Isn't it, Michael?
And the baby's Michael's. That's the... Oh, my God. And Paul Rudd's doing the most half-assed job of holding this guy at knife point. He has no leverage. He's totally to the side of him and holding the blade up against his throat. And Wynn is almost helping him do it. He could spin out of this so easily. They look like they're dancing together rather than being a hostage. Like, he's walking by all these people in the hoods with his back to them. They could grab him so easily. Oh, now the attack dog's been set loose. Come on, Michael. Come on, get him, boy. Fucking bullshit. I don't like the ending to the other one much better, but it's certainly better than this. And in the other one, they don't come out and say that Michael's the father of the baby. I think they realized how just stupid that was. Like, just trying to imagine the circumstances where, like, did they sit Michael down and explain this to him? How does he know what's happening? How does he know what to do? And he just goes along with it. Why doesn't he want to kill any of... Bleh. Oh, well, it's a curse. Oh, here's our big moment. Here it is. See, the doctor's getting slaughtered is something that's missing. Paul Rudd beating the shit out of Michael with that pipe is missing. The chase scene underground with the weird kind of panicked laugh is missing. A lot of the good parts of the end are missing. So he puts these weird clay marbles down on the ground and rubs his blood on the floor. And as soon as Michael steps in there, he becomes powered down. This is so ridiculous. So if you've never seen this, Michael is standing on a tile floor in the middle of a hallway at Smith's Grove, and he's got a circle of charcoal briquettes around him. And that's supposed to be he's just standing there like a mannequin. Like, those are keeping him in place.
What have they done to you?
Now Wynn approaches with one spur up and one spur down. Enters the invisible force field created by these weird marbles. I guess since Wynn entered the circle, now he's at risk. So Michael's about to lay the smackdown on Wynn, but not kill him. I don't know what he does. If he just takes an ether rag to his mouth, and then he switches clothes with him and leaves him laying in the middle of those briquettes, wearing the mask and the coveralls. Loomis can barely walk. Watch, when he steps into the circle, he can't even step over the weird marbles. He kicks them. These weird dirt clod things. I'm running out of names to call them. They really just look like dirt clods or burnt briquettes. Spent briquettes. See, he's kicking them all over the place like they're soccer balls. He can't lift his feet up. Oh, it's Wynn. Why is there a yellow stripe across my TV? What the fuck is going on? It's only in this shot. What did you do?
It's your game now, Dr. Loomis.
He grabs Loomis, says it's your game now, and the Thorn tattoo magically appears on Loomis's wrist. And he starts screaming. So that's where the screaming comes from. In the other movie, Loomis returns in, and we don't see what happens. It just shows Michael's mask laying on the ground, and you hear this screaming, and the inference you draw is that he's killing Loomis. But this is meant to look like he switched clothes with the man in black, and now he's just dipping out. Oh, it's the boots that give it away. Sweet. I really don't know where they could have gone from here. The wind extinguishes a jack-o'-lantern, and we're done. That was kind of one of the worst wrap-ups to a movie I've ever seen. Really. I know I entered this saying I was torn. Whoa, Danny's name is Devin. So we're the same age, and his name is Devin, and spelled the same as mine. That's fucked up. It's like my spirit animal or something. So I am torn, because I like the way that this one has more character development. It doesn't chop so many of those scenes out that help express the humanity of the characters and make them more relatable. And I like the use of the original score throughout, as opposed to kind of the new age grunge sound that's in the final cut. But the final cut has a much better payoff at the ending. It has much more memorable scenes at the ending, and it leaves you scratching your head less. You don't have Michael incest shit in it. Both of them, you still have the Cult of Thorn. I don't like that. You still have the Man in Black. I don't like that. So my main contention is that one of them has a better score and better character development, and the other one has better kills and a better ending, basically. And the happy medium was a mesh between the two. I appreciate you guys tuning in. That was the commentary for Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, the original producer's cut. Rare, unseen, unheard. Probably not. Go ahead and check me out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, iTunes, SoundCloud, all of the above. Avarice Podcast on everything. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good shit. Until the next time, this is Devin, not Danny, signing off and saying, be easy.